The rejection email arrived at exactly 9:12 a.m., glowing cold and final on Ayaan Rahim's phone as he stood outside the glass tower where his future was supposed to begin. Moments earlier, he had been inside that same building, breath held tight, believing this interview was the turning point that would lift his struggling family out of endless worry. But now the words were unmistakable. His application had been withdrawn. His opportunity was gone. And all of it had vanished because, minutes before the interview, he chose to help a frightened little girl instead of walking away. Before the story goes any further, if you believe kindness deserves second chances in this world, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Life Spark Stories. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts that still believe in doing the right thing. That morning had begun with sunlight pouring through the streets, buses honking, vendors setting up stalls, and Ayaan rehearsing answers in his mind while gripping a worn folder of certificates. He had ironed his only suit twice and skipped breakfast to arrive early. As he approached the building entrance, he noticed a small girl sitting alone near the steps, her school bag oversized on her tiny frame, her eyes scanning the crowd with quiet panic. People passed without slowing. Time was ticking. His interview slot was minutes away. Still, something heavier than ambition pulled at him, and he knelt down, steadying her as she trembled. She had wandered away from her driver in the busy morning rush, too scared to speak loudly, clutching a silver bracelet as if it were a lifeline. Ayaan stayed. He asked security for help, walked her to the lobby desk, and waited until a frantic assistant arrived. By the time the child was safely reunited, the interview panel had already moved on. The receptionist informed him politely that punctuality was essential and the opportunity had been forfeited. No explanations were accepted. As Ayaan stepped back into the daylight, the city felt louder, harsher, as if mocking the choice he had made. The days that followed were heavy. Rejection piled onto rejection. His savings thinned. His father's medicine bills loomed larger. At night, Ayaan lay awake questioning whether kindness was a luxury meant only for those who could afford it. Yet every time doubt hardened his chest, he remembered the girl's relieved expression when she realized she was safe. That memory was the only thing that kept regret from consuming him entirely. A week later, on a bright afternoon filled with restless energy, Ayaan was called back to the same building, summoned without explanation. His hands shook as he entered a top-floor conference room flooded with daylight and quiet authority. At the head of the table sat Farah Qureshi, the company's CEO, her presence calm but commanding. Beside her stood the little girl from that morning, now smiling freely, her bracelet catching the light. Farah spoke with measured warmth, explaining that her daughter had been too shaken that day to say much, but she never forgot the young man who stayed when everyone else hurried past. Security footage had filled in the rest. Ayaan learned that his application had not been discarded for being late, but temporarily paused, while a decision far bigger than a single interview was being made. The CEO described a company built on performance but sustained by values. She explained that skills could be taught, but integrity revealed itself only in moments that cost something. Ayaan listened, stunned, as she offered him not just the job he had lost, but a role shaped around growth, mentorship, and trust. Tears burned his eyes, not from relief alone, but from the quiet validation that his choice had mattered. As he walked out later that day, the sun felt warmer, the city gentler. Nothing about his past struggle vanished instantly, but something inside him shifted. He understood now that character leaves echoes, even when no one seems to be listening. Sometimes those echoes return when you least expect them. If this story has touched your heart, please take a moment right now to like, share, and subscribe to Life Spark Stories, so more people can be reminded that kindness still counts. And before this story ends, I have one special request. Please comment below and share what you would have done in Ayaan's place.